Hi, my name's Amy Johnston, and this is my case study for school finance. The title of this case study is Missing Booster Club Funds. And the summary of what happened is that there was a principal that had good relationships with the community and parents and students and ended up having a bit of a conflict with one of the parents of a student seeking his support in PTA funds being used for her daughter's trip to a New York parade. And the principal didn't agree with this because it was too much money for just one student. At the next time that the principal came in contact with the parent, Mrs. Bowman, there was an incident of $50 being missing from the Gates money box, and the principal's unsure if it was due to torn tickets, as Mrs. Bowman stated, or if there was a loss of funds from another reason. The next part of this case study talks about what do we know. So we do know that the principal got along well with most people and that there was a disagreement or a misunderstanding prior to the event about the PTA paying for the daughter's trip for a New York parade, and that the parent, Mrs. Bowman, worked as a gatekeeper, and there was 10 missing tickets and potentially $50 missing. Things that we need to know: Mrs. Bowman reported that the 10 tickets were actually torn, and so wondering how they got torn, where the torn tickets were located, if they were not kept, why, and if the other gatekeeper recalled a $50 bill from Mr. Dumas, as the principal had observed him talking, not observed, had interacted with him talking about using a $50 bill to get into the game. And then there was no $50 bill found when the principal and the guard were counting the money. So the problem is, after counting the money, the principal, Mr. Stevens, realizes that the 10 torn tickets would equal $50, and the $50 was missing from the cash box. So a plan of action, if I were to outline the next steps, I would start with I would have three things I would do. I would contact Mrs. Bowman to ask if she has any explanation for the missing tickets, where they might be found. Check with the other gatekeeper about if there was any memory of a $50 bill, and see if Mr. Dumas, if he still has his gate ticket from entering the game. I would probably do that first, contacting Mr. Dumas, because since Miss Bowman actually reported the ticket numbers that were lost or torn, if he had one of those tickets, then that would discount her statement. Then I would, if one of the torn tickets was his, I would approach Miss Bowman with the ticket and ask about the misunderstanding. And if he did not have the torn ticket, I would contact the other gatekeeper to see if she recalled the $50 bill paid by the patron. So category 3 asks what's best for students. And in my opinion, it's best for students to have gatekeepers work that are honest and reliable, because the money that's collected from these events goes for their projects and things in class. As far as a resolution to the problem, if there is proof or admission of guilt of the missing $50 bill, I would ask Miss Bowman to pay back the $50 and remove her from the gate or concession duty. I would make sure to do this all with a witness or another administrator. If there is no proof or admission of guilt, I would report the loss to the superintendent and ask for guidance. And if the guidance was to just discount it as missing, I would make sure that in the future I would work the gate or the concession stand with Miss Bowman if she was put back on that until I was confident that we didn't have any issues anymore. And lastly, I would also make sure that the gatekeeper duties gave specific instructions for torn tickets to avoid a situation like this in the future. What was I thinking, feeling, and valuing with this problem? So, first of all, I was unsure of where the $50 went since the principal didn't actually see the $50 being handed to the gatekeeper. It's unsure if that actually happened. And the principal also didn't see the torn tickets. So, my first feeling was not wanting to assume guilt. I was kind of anxious of the conflict because I know that one powerful parent conflict can cause a lot of disruption for a principal in a building and an administration. And then lastly, I was determined that even though my gut told me that it was Miss Bowman, not to just assume that until there was actual evidence. Still, there are unresolved issues in this situation. The location of the admission ticket from Mr. Durmus. I think if that was found and it was one of the 10 supposedly torn tickets, that would open the conversation as to better understanding what had happened. How the other gatekeeper remembers the $50 payment for the ticket. That would be an interesting find to help know if there really was a $50 bill. Since Mr. Dumas did talk about it to the principal, I would be surprised if he didn't point out the large bill or have a conversation of some sort with the gatekeeper. And then also unresolved is once the principal has a conversation with Miss Bowman, if she would admit guilt or if she would deny her involvement. Category 5, Standard 1. How does the school leader promote effective and efficient management of the school or district? The principal had a guard present when the money was being counted, so that was helpful. The principal was present at the event and interacted with the patrons. So the fact that he even knew about the $50 bill was from his level of involvement with the community. And another way that he had efficient management was that he had 2 individuals present when there was concession stand and gate money being handled. How does the principal promote social learning of every student? He has good relations with the student. Another way is he was supportive of Lucy's recognition with her talent. And the principal also advocated for the use of PTA funds to benefit all the students. How do you, as a school leader, promote student academic learning? The principal supported Reading Buddies program for students, which shows that he has a vision for academic growth. He's well liked by the students, which means he has a relationship with them. And once you have a relationship, you can encourage them academically more often. And Mr. Stevens supports students even outside the school day. So he demonstrates to them that he's not just invested in them as a job, but he has interest in them and all of their areas. So that's the end of my presentation. I've enjoyed this class and I appreciate everything I've learned. Have a good day. Bye.